So we're here today at the Guelph Correctional Center, where I used to be housed for almost 7 years. Now, doing in the Correctional Center, what they do is that you can only do a deuce less at each time. Well, a lot of times people get deuce less back to back, which is 36 months. And it's not a very comfortable jail to be in. There's a lot of rough people here before they head off to do whatever they got to do. There's a lot of people that have been in the pen are here, but right now it's closed. And the reason why it's closed is because things got run down. They started losing funding for the jail, and then they closed this place down like a lot of other jails across the world. So roughly late 80s, late 90s, or early 90s, pardon me, I actually came to Guelph Correctional Center because I went to court for armed robberies or assaults. It was accumulation of a bunch of charges together, and I ended up coming here for a deuce less, which is 18 months. When I did those 18 months, I actually came here and I stayed in A wing 32 cell, and honestly that was an interesting ride because there was one guard. He did not like anybody. Every night he'd come by and he'd use a key or something and just hit the cells all the way down, keep you awake, until one of the guys in there decided to grab him, hit his head against the bars, and he never did it again. So the last time I was actually here was the most scariest thing I've ever had to do in my life. And it wasn't my last bit going to jail, I'll be honest with you, but it was the most scariest one. So I got called in. I was in A32, like I mentioned before, and what happened was they asked me to go talk to a counselor. Well, that counselor, I didn't know who this counselor was, what they were there for, what they were doing. And finally I get down there in the tower area, and she says, please come in and have a seat. Now, I did not know her from Adam. I didn't recognize her or nothing like that. And she says, okay, do you know why you're here? And I said, no. And so she starts walking me through my charges that I had. I had like 32 assault charges, armed robberies, and she was calling me like an offender that's going to react. She thought that she would put me up on, they were investigating me basically for a red flag. What red flag is the fact of, if you get red flagged and you be released, then that means you have to have a probation officer every 2 weeks. You have to go to the police station every once a week, and you have to sign in, let them know where you live, let them know where you're working, let them know what's going on. They want to keep a close eye on you so you don't reoffend. But at the same time, they can also classify you as a dangerous offender, which every 10 years, 6 to 10 years, they give you a parole hearing to let you back out, or you stay in for your life. So when you're doing time, you really need to learn how to do your own time. And that's one of the biggest things I'll stress to anybody that's going to ever do time. I don't encourage you to do time, period. But if you happen to be going in that route, doing time, I encourage you to do your own time. There was an incident here at Guelph Correctional Center when I was here. And one of the guys, he seemed like a real sweetheart of a guy. He seemed like he was only in for B&E at the time. And he didn't seem very angry or nothing. But I realized he could snap if need be. And one day, I think it was about 6 months in, after being here with him for 6 months, we found that there was a peg missing for the weights. It was like one of those L-shaped pegs for the weights. Went missing. Nobody could find it, and even the guards were looking for it. We had a shakedown. A shakedown's when the guards come through and look for your cells. They check your bodies. Nobody could find it. Finally, one day we went for a yard, and this one guy was asking the other guy to spot him. This guy that was supposedly not angry very much, but don't piss him off because he seemed to have an anger streak. Well, he was the one spotting this other guy. All of a sudden, you see the weights just drop. He reaches in his pocket, grabs that piece that they were missing. It was all sharped up, and he just rammed it through the guy's head. And it was really scary, man, because they came in full tilt, grabbed him. They started grabbing us all and throwing us in cells, and you know, it was like crazy. This guy, I never thought would actually do something like that. Now he's doing life. So the psychological effect of being in here really bothered me because I become incarcerated. And what I mean by that is the fact of my mind wouldn't allow me to live outside in the real world because I was so used to being locked up that I had to go by their rules. So when I was actually out, I was put on probation quite a few times, and it felt like that's the only way I could live is if I'm on probation or if I become arrested again and did another charge, another bit. So what happened was my final bit, I don't think it was here. I think it was in Barry Bucket. But at the same time, it scared the shit out of me because I didn't know if I was going back to jail or not. I was actually stabbed in a fight, and 12-inch blade, 44 staples, and that was in Peterborough, Ontario, in Canada. The reason why is because I did not want to hang around with the people I was hanging around with anymore. But at the same time, when I went to the hospital, they came and arrested me for attempted murder at the same time because someone else was almost killed in that fight. So they wanted 12 years for me, and it was the scariest shit I've ever been through because I didn't know what was going to happen. So when you talk about rock bottom, I was at bottomless pit, man. I literally was scraping across the bottom. My emotions were starting to really affect me. I couldn't live without dealing with, a couple more drinks. I was an alcoholic, I was a drug addict, and I needed that to help me out like a security blanket. So I didn't have that when I'm incarcerated. So it made you feel uncomfortable. So in order to be comfortable, especially when you're looking at 12 years, I was scared shitless. I didn't know what to do. Nobody comes visit you too much in jail. Very seldomly someone comes to visit you in jail. And the people you were hanging with all basically got criminal records, so they can't really do much and help you. So you just really got to do your time, and no matter where you go, you got to watch yourself because there's a lot of violent people in there that will really come at you for the single thing. Something stupid. If you're touching someone's book, touching someone's stuff, you just got to do your own time. Being here at the Guelph Correctional Center is actually kind of a hoot because it does bring up the emotions, I'm not going to lie. It brings up the emotions, and I'm looking at the jail like I'm from the outside in now. I think it would affect me more if I was on the inside, but right now you can't because it's they closed the place down, and for people to be safe because it's old jail and it's not up to par. They never kept it up to par. Being here on the grounds, it's comfortable because you know what, it's like closure to me. I'm outside now. I'm actually talking about the stuff outside, just like doing, talking about everything I went through in my life. I have nothing to hide. I am the person I am. And you know what? All the stuff in the world that I've done and been through, I wouldn't change it for the world. You know what I mean? Because I am who I am today because of that. And I'm blessed.